Yes. I was just sitting here reading this report that was done by Copeland. Yeah, 129 pages. Pooch. And the Department of Transportation and Treasury, the independent agencies, are not part of the cabinet departments, but are not independent regulatory agencies. Yes. Perhaps the most agreed upon characteristic and the Office of Personnel Management. Pooch. Well, perhaps the most of an independent regulatory agent is what is termed for-cause removal protection, which is intended to provide a measure of independence from presidential direction and control. Ooch. I wonder why it did that. Pow, pow. For cause. Now, when you really think about it, this Dodd-Frank legislation, yes, that established the Consumer Protection Bureau, yes. And it established a number of other caveats of employment in the federal government. Let's say you had a for cause. Exactly what are the for cause reasons why you could lose your job in the federal government? Yes. Now it says something about malfeasance. There's a reason why judges can't be removed from the bench for cause. Now, I'm kind of thinking that somebody's allowing for the violating of more than just the 22 CFRs. Yes. And as I said, if I was able to use that free internet, I'd probably research it myself so as I could understand all the federal registry laws. Yeah. The regulations, the code of federal regulation. Let's say that you're a governor and you know that the state RCWs have not been enforced. Yes. You know that the federal legislation of the U.S. Code has not been enforced. Yes. Then the federal laws of the Department of Justice have not been enforced. Yes. And now you know that the laws that govern America's relationship with other nations, yes, are not being enforced. Now, exactly how much malfeasance do you have to have in office? Why don't you give me the employees of every ISP everywhere in the nation? Pooch, all of the broadband providers. I might be in the market to purchase some additional companies. It seemed that the family thought that they could bribe employees of broadband providers so as to give them access to what should have been a free service. Now, I know. You're sitting there in your office thinking, there's no possible way I could be removed from my employment for the cause of not doing my duty or the malfeasance in office of having knowledge of court orders being issued because of the fraud on the court. Now, I'm just looking at this because it looks like somebody's fucking with my phone again. Pow! Now, this is the Copeland report, or Copeland report. Yes. Now, it says here, removal protection. The heads of cabinet departments, independent agencies, generally serve at the pleasure of the president. Therefore, can be removed at any time. In contrast, the heads of independent regulatory agencies, whether part of a multi-member board like the SEC or a single administrator like the CFPB, can only be removed by the president for some type of cause. C-A-U-S-E. Yes. Some cases, the underlying statute describes a type of conduct that can lead to removal. Oh. But in other cases, the underlying statute describes a type of conduct is not spelled out in law. Poach. Now, just trying to use this. I don't know. Oh, look at it. Did it again. You fucked with it again. Now, exactly how many laws can you violate as a sheriff or a police officer before you're asked to resign from your position? Seems that those in law enforcement didn't feel any obligation to enforce the civil rights. No, they didn't feel an obligation to enforce the constitutional rights. Do you feel any obligation to enforce the requirements of the Code of Federal Regulations? I know, your whole plan of attack was to obstruct my rights, poach, and keep me homeless, hold my sons hostage, facilitate a kidnapping and child abduction, pooch, exploit my sons and Marilyn's kids, poo. And then the thought was, well, I can't do anything, I'm a home. Exactly what are the for cause reasons for being removed from office?